Chicago Tomahawk. I'm Mike, and I got my line mate Matt with me. And today we're going to talk about the end of the Blackhawks season that I think everybody's happy has come to an end. And we're going to talk about the playoffs that start tonight. So first off, the Blackhawks have made their first move, and that is they have released their two assistant coaches. Mark Crawford being one of them. I think that he helped Derek King a lot in this, getting this team to be somewhat competitive, considering he has been here the longest. But they let him go, and is that kind of a surprise? Because I know that they're looking to do a new thing here, and I'm wondering if maybe they're like, hey, look, we're just looking to start over, start something new, and we're going to let you go. Thank you for your service, type of a thing. Or do you think that they're disappointed with his kind of what he's done with the team?
No, the first one. I think we're going to try something new here. Kyle Davidson has a plan, and you're not in it, type of thing. I know a lot of people that actually thought that he would be the next guy in line, but I think his troubled past probably prevented that from happening. But I'm glad he's gone. I mean, he's kind of an old dog, like we always talk about.
Yeah,
that's been around, jumping from team to team. It's time to get some new faces.
Yeah, I could see him, possibly have been taking over the team, but it's just kind of, he has a lot of experience, and it would have been interesting to see if him and King put their minds together, what they could have done, if they put something together from scratch, which is what they didn't have the opportunity to do. Anyways, so moving on, Derek King has his exit interview coming up. I think it's going to be possibly this week or the beginning of next week. And because they have a lot of, that's a lot of work, man, meetings all day with the players and trying to figure out what you're going to be doing for next season. So his meeting's coming up, which we're going to find out whether they're going to keep him or if they're looking to move on from him. I think it's kind of torn. Some people want him to have a full chance, and other people are looking for him to go, and they want the team to have a fresh start. So at least where I stand is, I kind of see it both ways, to be honest with you. I'm not going to be, my wife said the other day, hoity-toity about it, which I think is a really hilarious statement. Anyways, with keeping him, he didn't get an opportunity to really do his own thing, start his own system, because he was using Colladin's thing, and it would have been cool to see, what are his opinions, what can he really do? And then on the other hand, it's like, it's a new team, they want to keep the old stars there and let them lead these new kids and a new team to something new and to be competitive again. And I could see that. I think, I don't think that he was given a fair shake, and it's not Kyle Davidson's fault because Kyle Davidson didn't make that decision. Stan Bowman did. And I think it's maybe time to say, hey, Derek, look, this is what we're looking to do. We're going to interview for the head coaching position, and then we're going to figure out if we want to keep you on as an assistant. If you want to stay, you can. If you don't want to stay, then we understand. But we're looking to head into a new direction, and you could possibly be a part of it by adding the experience that you had from this past year and gain more NHL experience, for your endeavors down the road. What do you think of that, Matt?
Yeah, he definitely didn't get a fair shake, but I think what he got out of this was, hey, I got a chance being an NHL coach. Maybe somebody will pick me up next year for an assistant coach, or maybe I'll even get re-up with the Hawks. So
right.
That's what he's probably going for. I personally am hoping for a Rick Tocchet signing because I think he could bring out the best in some of these young players. I know he had a pretty decent run with the Coyotes, and we know they've been pretty bad for a while, and when he came in, they actually were competing, and I think I'm hoping for that. Good luck to Derek King. I mean, if they do re-up him, it's not going to hurt, I guess. But I'm looking for a fresh start too, and I think Talk's got a lot of personality. We've seen him on TNT, and just as his playing days too, he was a character guy. He would fight you, score. Just a gritty, like a Philadelphia Flyer, like that mean Broad Street bully type of guy. And I think he would be a great fit here.
It's funny, you mentioned him. I think of Rod Brindamore when I think of Rick Tocchet, like a Rod Brindamore type of like personality in the locker room. I think of Rick Tocchet, And I think that I think he'd be a good fit, especially trying to build this team up from nothing to, a competitor again. I think that'd be really cool.
Very likable guy too. He's like the Charles Barkley and the TNT panel. He's sitting on that one end. He's bald and he's got some funny old man jokes. And then they got like the younger guys up there. But I really like him, man. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. So Matt, who is your MVP of the team this year?
My MVP has to go to Kaner. He 26 goals, 66 assists, 92 points. I believe he's 33 years old, and he's still an elite player. He's got a minus 19. Look at the team around him; it's not great, but I mean he's still putting up amazing numbers. And quite honestly, yes, DeBrincat scored 42 goals, but without Patrick Kane, I think he's just an average 20-goal scorer. So This guy is the MVP, the ultimate leader of this year. I know Taser is the captain. He always will be, but I think Kaner has captain-like qualities just like Taves. He's showing his, leading by example on the ice. Maybe he's not as vocal in the locker room, but he definitely had a great season this year, and hopefully he can keep it going next year. And I hope he's a Blackhawk for life.
Yeah, you kind of took some of the wind out of my sails, but I agree with you. Kaner, I would definitely give him my MVP vote because a full 82-game season, he's scoring 93 points on one of the worst teams in the league. Could you imagine if he was playing on a team like the Lightning?
The Rangers.
If he was on the Lightning, he'd probably have 140 points. And so I'm going to give it to Kaner. He showed up to the rink every single day. He was a leader for these young players on the team, watching him do his business, every single day. And I got to hand it to the guy, man. He, especially somebody of his caliber, his star caliber, he easily could have, phoned it in, but he was competing every single game. Hawks weren't out of it. I didn't see him taking any time off, and I really just got to tip my hat to the guy. And in saying, you mentioned Taser. I think Taves can only do what, kind of what he can, and he showed up every game that he could. He had that concussion in the middle of the season, but he came right back, man, and he was hitting people, and he was mixing it up a little bit too, which we don't want him to be mixing it up with anybody.
No.
But I think that he's still a good captain and a good leader. I think he still has a spot on the team, but by far, I think that bar none, Jonathan Taves and Patrick Kane are the leaders of this team, and they're definitely leading by example. And I think that they've got Alex DeBrincat coming up right up there. Even though he is an alternate captain, but he is definitely following in the footsteps of these guys, and I think that it's pretty incredible. Do you have a most improved player on the team?
Ooh, good question. You know what? I not most improved, but I guess this is a tough one. I really wish we could have seen more Tyler Johnson. That's what I want. Like you were going into Taves.
Right.
I think Taves had a couple good games with Tyler Johnson.
Yeah.
And I was really excited to see, like, hey, these guys got some chemistry together. I like this. And maybe next year, if they're penciled in together, it might give Taves his game back.
Yeah.
But as for your question, most improved, I'm going to have to think about that and let you go first because this is a tough one.
Yeah, it is. As far as most improved player, I would want to say Dylan Strome. And the reason I'm giving it to Stromer is because he was down and out at the end of last season, and he was essentially down and out at the beginning of this season, and he persevered through that. And I think that takes a lot because the media was, saying he's going to be traded. I mean, we were saying what we were saying about him.
Yeah.
And he came out, and granted, he was playing with Patrick Kane and Alex DeBrincat. That's true. But, you still got to bury those goals, man, and you still got to get those assists. And he was able to step up and do that. And, I'm going to tip my hat to him for the perseverance that he showed going through this season. And I think that it's pretty incredible that he's able to kind of keep his head straight and keep going.
Yeah, I think that you put up a good case right there. I mean, there's really not many players that were, that down and came back really hot. I guess if there was a player where I'm most disappointed in, I think it would be Kubalik, because I thought he'd score at least 30.
Yeah, I was going to get into that next.
Yeah, and I just very disappointed in him. And he does shoot, he misses a lot, and he whiffs a lot, and it usually goes over the net about 5 feet. But yeah, that's I guess if I have to go most disappointing, that would be my guy.
Yeah, I would want to say my most disappointing for me was definitely like Nylander at the beginning of the season. They gave him somewhat of another shot, man, and the guy was just completely disinterested in certain aspects of the game. And the Hawks, they were a team that needed guys playing both ways, and I would probably say he'd probably be the biggest disappointment. I would probably say the biggest surprise of the year is probably Sam Lafferty. He's a guy that we got this guy for Nylander, and he actually pretty much played himself onto the roster. He scored a few goals. He's a rough and tough guy. He hits people. He'll fight. He's fast. He'll drive the net. To be honest with you, man, if this guy can just work on his game and work on his shot, he could be a power forward that we really need for this team, considering his speed and his size.
Yeah, honestly, I think that's why Davison felt like this Hagel trade was okay, because he's got a guy that's playing just like him. Lafferty is absolutely a lightning bolt, man. Every shift he is 100 miles an hour. He'll go right through you, and he was putting some pucks in the net. It was good to see.
Right. Yeah, I think another surprise I wanted to bring up was Taylor Radish. I was, because I was really bummed when Hagel was traded, and this guy came out, man, and he's coming in for probably one of the fan favorites on a team that needed fan favorites. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And he walked into a situation, man, and I think he ended the season with 11 goals and 11 assists. He was playing on the fourth line in Tampa, but he was putting up some goals for the Blackhawks. I honestly think that this guy, maybe on a line with Taves and Tyler Johnson, that these guys he could score 20 easily, I think, with that squad. Yeah, they're both defensive. They're both defensively responsible, and Johnson can win faceoffs.
And he's getting time now, which is
right.
Which is huge. You're not going to get that time in Tampa. There's no way in hell. And this is a good opportunity for him to extend his career. I mean, you could sit and rot away on. I mean, you're going to win cups and stuff, but you're not going to play. And then as the years go by, I mean, we've seen it with the Blackhawks. There's been guys that like Ben Smith, guys like that were on the lower bottom six. They were good, but then once they get traded, they're kind of burnt out, and they're older, and you don't see them again. Yeah. But if this is a good thing for Radish and the Kachuk guy, they actually are going to get some time and maybe some top 6 minutes. They would never get that in Tampa. So I think I like that. Even if it didn't work out with Taves and Johnson, I think he'd be fine with Strome and whatever, Kaner or DeBrincat, whatever, if we still have those guys. But they call it the Erie Otter line, and I thought that was good most nights.
Yeah, I like Radish's decision making, because when he has an opportunity to shoot, he'll shoot, and a lot of guys on the team will pass. And you know what? I get it, man. You have Patrick Kane right there. It's like, what business do I have shooting the puck when I've got Kaner over here? Do you know what I mean? I get it.
A lot of players are like that. I don't get that, because like when I see Kaner, if I'm on the ice with Kaner, I'm like, okay, this dude's a pass first guy, so I gotta shoot.
It's like, what do you want me to do, man? Tell me.
That's DeBrincat. That's why DeBrincat is so successful. He's like, I'm not a playmaker. Kaner is. I'm shooting that thing. Yeah. So I hope more guys get that mentality. Yeah. Because they're gonna score a lot of goals.
I want something else I want to bring up. The biggest disappointment I would probably say of the year for me was when both Wyatt Kalynuk and Caleb Jones got hurt at the beginning of the season because they were supposed to be that first pairing. We started the season with injuries, and we didn't really get to see that squad, that defensive core, kind of get that opportunity. And I really would have liked to see that.
Yeah, I'm kind of. I don't know how you feel about Connor Murphy. I think he is a decent defenseman, but I just think these young guys are better than him. Like Kalynuk, like Ian Mitchell, all these guys that are just waiting. Regula. I would like to see these guys come in before Connor Murphy. I know he's like, a lot of new fans like him. I just don't, there's nothing really flashy about him to me. And I would like to see those guys. Even, I thought Caleb Jones was good this year.
I thought so too.
We got rid of a legend and we got this guy, and it's like, oh man, we just got him to get his brother, Right. But he was actually really good. He would, take some chances and score some goals, and it was a good bright spot for the Hawks. That was like a good trade.
I think the only thing that he had going for him, the only thing that he had going against him, is that Seth Jones is his brother. And sometimes that works out to your advantage. In his case, it works out to his disadvantage because people are going to constantly compare him to him, and unrightfully so, because I think Caleb Jones in his own right is a pretty good defenseman. He just needs a better system to play in, and he wasn't getting that in Chicago. He didn't have that in Edmonton.
They're two different players too.
I would like to see him get another opportunity with the team, just to see who he can be and who he can develop into. That's I'm not saying he's going to be the answer on the top defensive pairing, but I think that he could be, a good defensive pairing defenseman that could move the puck and take some shots when needed.
I like him. I hope we bring him back. And if you want to put him with his brother, I think he would complement him well. Or if you want to put him on the bottom six, the bottom six defensemen, 5 or 6. I'm okay with that too. I think he was a really bright spot and surprising, actually. I mean, I didn't really know too much about him, and he was good. Honestly, I'd like to see him skate with his brother, quite honestly. I think it would work out.
I think that there's going to be a competition next year for the bottom line between Caleb Jones, Alec Regula, Vlasic, and Ian Mitchell. And I think that out of those two guys, I think Mitchell and maybe Regula might make it out of there.
Mitchell has been very good this season with Rockford. He was very good, and those are the types of defensemen you need. You need a puck mover. I mean, we got one with. I'd like to see one on every pairing. Quite honestly, that's what makes a good team.
I agree.
You got Seth Jones on the top. You got Ian Mitchell, number two puck mover with maybe, say if Connor Murphy or Jake McCabe, Caleb Jones. I think it would be great.
Yeah, even if you put, I think that Jake McCabe might be a good addition to that pairing with Ian Mitchell, because he can help him with the defensive sides of the game. Or he could say, "Hey, look, I'm going to stay back, and you just go on ahead and skate it up."
Yeah, I got you. Do your thing.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be really good. And, McCabe, I've actually really liked him, man. I thought that he was going to be a good player. I think that it took him time to get settled into the living in Chicago, a new team, the shitty system, I think it took him time. But you know what, man? He was standing guys up all year. He was hitting people, and people weren't fucking with people when he was on the ice.
That's what you need. That's what you want in a mean stay-at-home defenseman. And that's what we need, 3 of them.
Right.
We need 3 tough ones.
So anyways, that's our little quick, what we didn't like about the season. We're going to do in-depth analysis from the centers, wingers, defensemen, and goalies coming up. But we're going to move on to the NHL playoffs part of the podcast. And, this is actually, as time is going on, man, I'm kind of getting more into the playoffs because, I'm sour. The Hawks aren't in it. The glory days are clearly behind us. But you know what? I take exception to people that are, complaining, like, oh, we have another bad season next year, where it was like 15 bad seasons in a row for, back in the day.
When they weren't watching.
Right. Yeah. So moving forward, we got some NHL news. McDavid's won the Hart Ross. Matthews won the Rocket. Both very well deserving. It's really incredible how Leon Draisaitl is kind of just an afterthought in Edmonton. The guy is just an absolute beast. He's a superstar, and it's really incredible. So Jari out of game one for the Pens. Anderson is out for game one for the Canes. So is Anderson going to be out, do you think, for the playoffs?
No, they just said game one, and I'll do a live update real quick. The Hurricanes just won 5-1 against the Bruins with Antti Ranta in net. They are up 1-0.
I'm gonna go up down the pairings really quick right now. Soros out. Can you believe that, man? Soros
I called it.
Yeah, you did.
I called it. You burn out a goalie, and now he's hurt for 1 and 2. Now you're gonna go down 2-0.
Incredible. So here are the pairings on the Western Conference. We've got Dallas and Calgary. Man, I would not want to be Dallas on that one. We've got LA and the Oilers. I would not want to be the Oilers in that one. The Predators and the Avalanche. And we've got the Wild and the Blues. Well, man, these are some really good matchups. On the Eastern Conference, we've got the Capitals versus Florida. I'm sure the Capitals weren't looking forward to that. We've got Tampa and Toronto. Boston and the Canes, and we've got the Pens and the Rangers. Now, I'm going to start off with New York is going to be up in flames if they lose to the Pens.
Well, yeah,
in the first round.
I picked the Rangers in 7.
Okay.
And this was very tough for me because my gut is telling me do not vote against Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
Because he's a playoff beast. Malkin is a playoff guy. Letang, these are the 3 main core guys. But Jari going down, honestly, he was very bad last year in the playoffs, but he did turn his game around this season. He was a good goalie. But who knows, who knows how the Pens are going to play against Shesterkin, who's been lights out, the best goalie in the league this season. It was very tough for me. I gave the Rangers the edge just because of Shesterkin going against, I think, Casey DeSmith now, not Jari.
Wow. Yeah, I'm going to go with Rangers in 6.
Ooh.
Rangers in 6. Now, Boston and the Canes. I'm going to go out there and say Canes in 4. Boston gets swept. They've got one line.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
And they practically limped into the playoffs.
I have the Canes in 6, only because I think Ranta might have a bad game here or there because we don't have a status on Anderson yet. But I think if Anderson was healthy starting game 1, I probably would say Canes in 4.
Okay.
But I'm going to go Canes in 6 because I think they're probably going to have a bad game. He's still, he really hasn't been a starter in the playoffs ever. So this is his shot. You got to expect a goalie to have a poor game, but
he is a Stanley Cup winner, though.
He is. Behind Darling and Crawford, he is.
Yeah. So this is an interesting one: Toronto and Tampa. Do you want me to go first on this one?
Well, you know me, I'm a Lightning guy. I'm going Lightning in 6.
Okay, I'm gonna go Lightning. I'm gonna go Lightning in 5. And I'm saying 5 because I think that Toronto's going to shit the bed. This is exactly the storyline that the NHL needs is Toronto up in flames, and I think that this isn't going to end the way that they want them. Tampa is a team that cannot be underestimated. They are a team that you just. Even after 2 seasons of winning the Stanley Cup, man, these guys are hungry to win again, and I think that they're a team to be reckoned with. I'm going to say Tampa in 5.
Yeah, the Lightning are definitely the Hawks. They're going for their 3rd cup, and they want to be called a dynasty like the Hawks were, and they know how to win. But they did lose tonight, 5-0, Mike.
Oh man. Brutal.
5-0, and Austin Matthews with 2 goals, picking up where he left off in the season. And hey, man, it's a statement game. They're like, hey, we're sick of choking, and we're gonna come out flying, and they did. And I still think the Lightning are going to take this in 6. Too much experience and the best goalie in the world.
Right. Caps in Florida. I'm gonna say Panthers in 5. I think that the Capitals can steal one out here. I'd be surprised if they don't sit Ovechkin the entire series so that he doesn't get hurt, so he could start up his goal crusade next season. And maybe they might have him in a wheelchair. In 10 years trying to get that record goal. So I'm gonna go Panthers in 5. I got nothing good to say about the Capitals. I've never had anything good to say about the Capitals.
I feel bad for the other Capitals. It's like that's all they have to hear about.
Yeah,
it's like
every day.
They're not a bad team. They're a playoff team, and hey, Ovi's close. What do you think? Is he gonna do it? Like yeah, maybe in 4 years. Like, we're still a good team. Take us serious, but I know Ovi's banged up. And the Panthers are just too damn good. I got them in 5-2.
Okay. We got Blues and the Wild. I'm going to go with the Wild in 6. And I think that I'm saying this because the Wild have a lot of offensive upside. They're solid defensively, and they've got experienced goaltending. The Blues, on the other hand, are a very tough team to play against. They're good defensively, but they just don't have that offensive push that the Wild does. And that's why I gave my prediction.
Yeah, Kirill the Thrill, whatever they call him. He 100 points this season. Yeah, it's a good call, but I got to go with experience. And I know they got Marc-Andre Fleury, but I'm going to go with the Blues in 7 just because I think they're just built for a playoff team. I mean,
sure.
They brought in Brandon Saad this year, who's a playoff performer. Ryan O'Reilly, very good playoff guy. Tarasenko, remember at the beginning of the season? He wanted out, and he stayed, and he was pretty much the team MVP. Got some good rookies, Jordan Kyrou. And then they got a new goalie, Ville Husso, I believe. I picked him up on fantasy when Binnington just kept crapping the bed, and this guy turned it up, and he took the net, and I think they're going to win in 7. I really do.
Okay. Yeah, we're on two sides of the fence on that one.
Yeah.
So, Predators and Avs. I've got the Avs in 6.
Okay, since Soros is out, I got the Avs in 3.
Okay.
No, I think the Avs are going to win in 5. They might get a bad game.
Soros is out.
Soros is out. So this you have to think about your picks here. I mean, it could be an easy sweep, I'm going to just go 5 to be safe. Maybe Kemper will have a bad game and the Preds will just last like a last stand type of thing.
Yeah.
Like Rambo's last stand or something. Sleep. Yeah, and just put you to sleep and win 2-1.
Yeah.
And just get one game so those hillbillies could throw their catfishes on the ice.
All right, we got the Oilers and the Kings. I got Kings in 5.
Ooh, okay.
I think that they're going to lock up that Draisaitl and McDavid line. They're probably going to put Danault out on that line. Yep. And that's going to give a Kopitar an opportunity to just run free. And an LA team that's tough. They could play defense. They're pretty good offensively, and they've got some good players on their team. And the Oilers are kind of just a one line show, essentially like the Bruins, but better. Their one line is better than the Bruins. But yeah, I don't see the Oilers making it out of the first round.
Yeah, I got the Kings in 7 too. I think if you were a smart coach, you would split up McDavid and Draisaitl just to make Philip Deneau's job, tougher. But you got Kopitar who could do that same thing as Philip Deneau.
Selke
so
winner.
I think
they're fucked.
It's amazing that they have 2 Selke-like guys in the playoffs. Yeah. They're going to make their lives a living hell, but I think McDavid is going to do everything he can, and I think Draisaitl is going to do the same, and I think they're going to bring this to 7, but I'm giving the edge to the Kings.
Okay. We've got Dallas and Calgary. Calgary's a monster. They're red hot. I'm going to go with the Flames in 5. I think that Dallas can sneak in a win in there, but I don't think that they have what it takes to beat this Calgary team in. I just think that they're too stacked from the top, from Johnny Gaudreau having a career season, Matthew Tkachuk being right there with them, quietly, a quiet, probably team MVP, showing some leadership and kind of moving away from some of his antics and kind of growing up a little bit and being more of an all-around player with Matthew Tkachuk. Just an incredible team. I think they have 4 guys with 30 goals on that team?
3 40-goal scorers. First time since Theo Fleury.
Joe Nieuwendyk?
No. Reichel.
Robert Reichel?
Robert Reichel and Gary Roberts.
Oh,
I
wow.
saw that stat today, and I laughed. I'm like, oh, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was.
And 3 40-goal scorers.
Wow.
Well, great season, and you don't expect that from a Daryl Sutter team, and they did it.
We were talking about it, this offseason, and we were expecting the exact opposite.
I thought Johnny Hockey would get 20 goals and maybe 30 assists.
Right.
And oh my goodness.
Well, cool, man. It's pretty interesting. I can't wait to see how this plays out. We're going to bring updates on these series on Friday. We'll drop the our next episode. So we're not changing the podcast drops. They'll be coming in the same on schedule Mondays and Tuesdays and Fridays. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. You got anything else, Matt?
One thing I got to say, Dustin Brown announced he's going to retire after the playoffs.
Wow.
He was a beast for him. The Hawks had some battles with this guy, and there's a lot of respect on my end. I know a lot of Hawks fans were probably bitter at the time just because of the war, but this guy was a great captain.
Sure.
For both cup seasons. He could easily won 3 just like we did. And he was a good American player. I can't believe they took the C off him.
Yeah, man.
He should still be the captain, but I understand Kopitar is the up-and-coming dude. But they are close in age, but I think it would have been cool just to let him retire. It's cool he was going to retire as a King. He played his whole career with the Kings. It's very rare. Probably going to have his number retired. He's a legend there. And I just wanted to give him a shout-out because he's a great hockey player. He did it all. He'd fight you. He'd hit. He was just a complete hockey player.
Right.
So hopefully he can have one last run maybe. I think it would be cool if the Flames ended up playing the Kings and Drew Doughty and Tkachuk went at it again and it was just like a war. Dustin Brown came back like 2012.
Yeah. Just
old school getting mean. It could happen, but
yeah, it would.
Yeah, the guy was a legend and I wish him the best after, he retires.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's a good take right there. I like that. Well, all right, but everybody, that's all that we got for you tonight. We'll see you on the next one. This is the Tomahawk, and we're out of here.